All right, guys, how's it going? I am at NAMM, the huge convention in Anaheim that checks out all the new gear at the beginning of the year. It's 2019. I'm here, and I've been looking at all the comments that that have been left on my previous video, so I can check out exactly what you guys want to see. So I've gone through and kind of looked at the stuff that was most popular requests, and that's what I'm going to check out today. All right, let's go inside and check it out. Okay, first up is Kramer. Had a lot of requests to check out Kramer. They've got some really cool stuff. The Kramer Night Swan is back, and they did a really good job with it. It's got an ebony fretboard and a real Floyd Rose. Also the Jersey Star. This is a guitar that's based on, it's essentially the Richie Sambora signature. They had a real cool little brochure, so you can check out all the new models. And they also have some models that they've still had for the past few years. So really doing a good job. It's nice that, Gibson is not really neglecting Kramer too much like they did in the past. And yeah, really, really nice stuff. Also, I believe all of these guitars, even the higher end ones, are going to be under $1,000. Some of them are much less than that. Now, speaking of more expensive guitars, of course, Gibson owns Kramer, so I went and checked out all the awesome Gibson stuff. Now, some of these guitars are very, very, very expensive, $4, $5, $6 or more $1,000 for a lot of these guitars. Of course, the ES335s and the SGs, all the stuff, lots of beautiful guitars. The Gibson area was really big. Now here we have the Epiphone stuff, and Epiphone is really, over the past few years, they've really been upping their game. They've got some really cool signature models. Great triple pickup setup there, and some nice new finishes for the Epiphone Les Pauls. Okay, now here we are at Washburn. Washburn has continued to expand their line lately. That yellow and black one is the Michael Sweet from Striper signature guitar. And a lot of these guitars, this one in particular here, very affordable, in the $400, $500 range, and they have a lot of variety. Now Washburn also does Oscar Schmidt, which they have here, and this is the much more affordable models. Some of these guitars, $350, $400, right in that range, and as a lot of you guys know, really good quality. Now we have Ibanez. Ibanez has a huge presence at the NAMM Show, huge booth. They've got tons and tons of new models. Some of the finishes they've been coming out with recently are really amazing. This burl blue burst that they have here is really nice. A lot of matte semi-gloss finishes. And as always, beautiful woods, beautiful fretboard inlays. Really nice stuff. Now this one here in the Geo series, this red and black color combination is really nice. And as you can see, very affordable guitar. Only about $330 for that guitar in the RG style. Now, another company that gets overlooked fairly often, which actually has some really nice stuff, is Cort. So I went ahead and checked out a few guitars from them, kind of similar to some of the other companies. They've really been upping their game in the finishes and the colors they have. And these guitars go for about $750, right in that range. So you really get a lot of good value from Cort. And I hope to be checking out these guitars more in the future. Now, a really popular booth at NAMM, and one that a lot of you guys wanted me to check out, is the Kiesel booth. Now, Kiesel, I don't know what sort of, dark magic they're getting into to get these colors. There's Andy James, of course, demoing some stuff, but these colors and the wood combinations that they're using are just incredible. Now, of course, these are not cheap guitars, not inexpensive guitars. A lot of these are very expensive, but for what you're getting, I mean, it's really impressive stuff. Of course, Kiesel is the company that used to be known as Carvin, but since they made the name change, they've really just gone to town and really upped their game, like I said, on these guitars. And the stuff they're producing these days is really just incredible. As you can see, the Kiesel booth was very, very popular. I had a hard time getting video of all the guitars because there were so many people in the booth. Now this is a company which I ran across, and speaking of high-end guitars, this was a really cool setup. This is an all carbon fiber guitar. Everything except for the hardware and the frets and so forth, everything, the body, fretboard, all carbon fiber. This guitar weighed almost nothing. It was so light. Beautiful, beautiful finish. Nice reflective quality of the carbon fiber there. They had a variety of different models and styles, and Floyd Rose equipped versions. They even have some that have wood fretboards, and that's the SCT Guitars. And here we have Strandberg. This is one of the companies that's making these great modern multi-scale headless guitars. Very popular with the gent crowd and the prog guys. These guitars play incredibly well, and they're becoming more and more popular. You know, the company Grote, the Chinese company, when they do their versions of these guitars, this is kind of the original guitar that they're copying, essentially. Now, of course, I went and checked out ESP, which is always one of my favorite companies to check out. Like Kiesel, they've really been upping their game in terms of the finishes. Now, they have some extremely expensive guitars here. Here's one for about $4,000 that was already sold. A lot of these USA-made ESP guitars were already sold, but they still had them on display. And if you go to their more affordable guitars, like in the LTD range, they had a lot of really nice new stuff. This is the SN1000 series. These guitars go for usually a little bit under $1,000, and then they get lower as you go lower in the range, you know, the 1,000 or 400 range, or down to the 200 range, and a lot of really nice options to choose from. A nice Telecaster option, various Super Strat shapes, and of course you have the EC series based on the Eclipse models from the higher end ESP guitars. These are like the affordable Les Paul shapes. Now, they even had one guitar here that had a crackle finish, and the cracks were painted with a glow-in-the-dark paint, so they had a light lighting it up, and that looked amazing. I also checked out Charvel. A lot of you guys wanted me to look at it, and it's one of my favorite guitar brands. A lot of really cool stuff. There's the new Angel Vivaldi signature guitar, Guthrie Govan, the Satchel guitar, right above there, the Warren DeMartini, of course the Jake E. Lee Charvel Super Strats there with that really distinctive pickup setup. They even had some really nice custom shop Charvels on display here. This star was just fantastic. And then right next to Charvel, I checked out Jackson. Now that's a guitar I've reviewed in the past. Great price on that, $666. Now, in some of the lower end Jackson stuff, I think the JS series in the Jackson guitars is one of the best budget-friendly series, models of guitar that's available from one of the big name manufacturers. They've got some really cool stuff. They're bringing back the crackle finish, like you can see there. I love that. I mean, that hasn't been around since, I think, the early 90s. Really cool to see that coming back into style. And they also have some new Jackson Kelly models. It's one of my favorite body shapes, so it's nice that they're continuing to expand that range. Now, after the Jackson stuff, I went and headed over to the Fender setup. They had, tons and tons and tons of guitars. This is in the custom master built section, so they've got some really, really beautiful guitars in here. One that caught my eye is the HM, the heavy metal Strat. They did a modern version of that. Now, unfortunately, this is not a regular production guitar. It was just a master built thing, very expensive, but I love that style of guitar. Actually, when I went to the Squier section, which is what I'm at now, they have the contemporary Strat. They've got a version that kind of reminds me of the HM Strat. It's got a reverse headstock, active pickups, Floyd Rose. This particular guitar actually had a few sharp frets on there, so maybe they're still working out the kinks in that design. Now, I also checked out one of my favorite amplifier companies, Blackstar, of course. I've talked at length about the ID Core series. Very affordable, very budget-friendly guitars. Solid-state digital amps you can get a great sound out of. They didn't have a lot of stuff in the Blackstar booth, but they did have the new Superfly amp, which is kind of combining the small battery-powered Fly amps with the ID Core series amps. It's kind of a nice combination of those two amplifiers. They also had some new HT Club series 20-watt heads, which is really cool to see. You know, I love the kind of medium watt, 20 watts, 50 watts, 30 watts, right in that range is a really good usable range to get for a tube head. And of course, no NAMM trip is complete without seeing a few guitar celebrities walking around. All right, guys, so that was some of the stuff that you guys requested to see from the 2019 NAMM Show. Now, there were a few things that a lot of people requested that unfortunately I just couldn't look at because they weren't at the show. A main one being the Harley Benton guitars from Thomann. You know, it's a German company, European company. They're not here at the show in Anaheim, California. Also, BC Rich is not here, which is kind of a surprise. And also Dean Guitars is not here this year, which again it's kind of a surprise, kind of a bummer. Also the Blackstar stuff, you know, I love the Blackstar amps. They had some things there, as you saw, but not a whole lot. You know, I guess not a lot of new models right now other than that, the Superfly amp, which is really cool. But anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and a preview of some of the stuff coming out this year. I'm going to be trying to review as much of this stuff as I can this year coming up. So definitely leave your comments below. As always, you know, let me know what you thought about that new gear. And if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you next time.